Behind the glittering facade of America's most beloved late-night television empire, a shadow lingered that would haunt the Carson family for decades. Johnny Carson, the man who made millions laugh every single night, carried a burden so heavy that it would eventually fracture his relationships with those who mattered most. For over 40 years, whispers circulated through Hollywood's inner circles about a secret that Carson desperately tried to keep buried. Now, in a stunning revelation that has sent shockwaves through the entertainment world, his daughter has finally stepped forward to confirm what many suspected but none dared to speak aloud. The rumor had persisted since the early days of The Tonight Show, growing stronger with each passing year as Carson's fame reached unprecedented heights. Industry insiders, former colleagues, and even family friends had hinted at a dark truth that contradicted everything America believed about their cherished host. While Carson charmed audiences with his wit and warmth, behind closed doors, a different story was unfolding, one marked by profound personal struggles that would define not just his legacy but the lives of everyone around him. Carson's daughter, who has remained largely silent about her father's private life until now, recently broke her decades-long silence in an emotional interview that has captivated both fans and critics alike. Her words carry the weight of years of pain, confusion, and ultimately, a desire for truth that can no longer be contained. What she revealed challenges everything we thought we knew about the man who ruled late-night television for 3 decades. The confirmation came during a rare public appearance where she was asked directly about persistent rumors regarding her father's behavior during his peak years. Her response was both heartbreaking and illuminating, shedding light on aspects of Carson's personality that he worked tirelessly to hide from the public eye. The revelation explains many of the family dynamics that puzzled observers for years, including the notable absence of his children from public events and the strained relationships that became increasingly apparent as Carson aged. This isn't just another celebrity expose or tabloid sensation. This is the definitive account from someone who lived through the reality behind America's favorite television personality, and her words carry implications that extend far beyond the Carson family itself. The rumor that has now been confirmed centers around Johnny Carson's struggle with severe depression and anxiety disorders that plagued him throughout his entire career. His daughter's revelation paints a picture of a man who battled inner demons so intense that they often rendered him unable to function normally in his personal relationships. While America saw the confident, quick-witted host who never missed a beat, his family witnessed someone who would disappear for days at a time, consumed by darkness that seemed to deepen with each passing year of his success. According to his daughter's account, Carson's mental health struggles began long before he became a household name, but the pressures of fame and the demanding schedule of The Tonight Show amplified his condition to dangerous levels. She describes watching her father transform from the loving parent she knew in private moments to someone who became increasingly isolated and emotionally unavailable. The contrast was so stark that family members often felt like they were living with 2 completely different people. The depression manifested in ways that the public never suspected. Carson would often spend entire weekends locked in his study, refusing to speak to anyone or participate in family activities. His daughter recalls birthday parties where he would make brief appearances before retreating to his room, leaving his children to wonder what they had done wrong. The guilt and confusion that resulted from these experiences shaped her childhood in ways that she is only now beginning to fully understand and articulate. What makes this revelation particularly significant is how it explains many of Carson's well-documented relationship difficulties. His 4 marriages, his struggles with alcohol, and his notorious perfectionism on set all take on new meaning when viewed through the lens of untreated mental health issues. His daughter emphasizes that this wasn't simply a case of celebrity ego or the typical pressures of show business. This was a man fighting a battle that he felt he couldn't share with anyone, including his own family. The entertainment industry of Carson's era had no framework for addressing mental health concerns, particularly for someone in his position. Seeking help would have been seen as weakness, and any public acknowledgement of psychological struggles could have ended his career. This created a prison of silence that trapped not only Carson but everyone who loved him, forcing them to watch helplessly as he suffered. The most devastating aspect of Carson's hidden struggle, according to his daughter, was how it affected his ability to connect with his children during their most formative years. She describes a father who desperately wanted to be present but was often trapped in his own mind, unable to break through the fog of depression that separated him from the people he loved most. The irony wasn't lost on the family that millions of Americans felt more connected to Johnny Carson than his own children ever did. His daughter's account reveals specific incidents that illustrate the depth of Carson's internal battle. She recalls family vacations where Carson would bring scripts and jokes to work on, not out of dedication to his craft, but because focusing on comedy was the only way he could temporarily escape the overwhelming sadness that consumed him. Even during moments that should have been purely personal and joyful, the weight of his condition made it impossible for him to be fully present. The confirmation of Carson's mental health struggles also sheds new light on his perfectionist tendencies and legendary work ethic. What many interpreted as professional dedication was actually a coping mechanism, a way for Carson to maintain some sense of control when everything else in his life felt chaotic and overwhelming. His daughter explains that her father threw himself into work not because he was driven by ambition alone, but because it was the only arena where he felt capable and worthwhile. Perhaps most heartbreaking is her description of Carson's awareness of how his condition was affecting his family. She reveals that he would often apologize after particularly difficult episodes, expressing genuine remorse for his emotional absence while feeling powerless to change it. These conversations, she says, were among the few times she saw her father's vulnerability, and they helped her understand that his distance wasn't a reflection of his love for his children but rather his struggle with forces beyond his control. The impact on the Carson children was profound and lasting. His daughter describes growing up feeling like they were constantly walking on eggshells, never knowing which version of their father they would encounter. This uncertainty created its own form of trauma, one that she and her siblings carried into their adult lives. The confirmation of her father's mental health struggles has been both painful and liberating, finally providing context for experiences that shaped their entire family dynamic. The revelation becomes even more poignant when considering how Carson's struggle with depression influenced his legendary career and the comedy that brought joy to millions. His daughter explains that many of his most memorable monologues and comedic bits were born from his darkest moments, transformed through his unique ability to find humor in pain. This creative alchemy, while producing entertainment gold, came at an enormous personal cost that only his family truly witnessed. She describes watching her father rehearse material at home, sometimes for hours, not because he was unprepared, but because the process of perfecting his craft served as a form of therapy. The meticulous attention to timing, the endless refinement of jokes, and his famous ability to recover from failed punchlines all stemmed from a deep-seated need to maintain control over at least one aspect of his increasingly chaotic inner world. Comedy became both his salvation and his prison. The most revealing aspect of his daughter's confirmation involves Carson's relationship with his audience. She explains that while he struggled to connect emotionally with his own family, he found genuine solace in the nightly ritual of entertaining America. The studio audience provided him with immediate feedback and validation that helped temporarily lift the fog of depression that plagued his personal life. In many ways, she suggests, those 30 minutes on stage each night were the only times her father felt truly alive and present. This dynamic created a cruel irony that haunted the Carson household. The man who could effortlessly charm celebrities, politicians, and comedians into revealing their most entertaining stories often sat at his own dinner table in complete silence. His daughter recalls watching The Tonight Show with a mixture of pride and sadness, seeing a version of her father that she rarely experienced in person. The public Johnny Carson was everything she wished her private father could have been. The confirmation also addresses long-standing rumors about Carson's drinking, framing it not as the cause of his problems but as another symptom of his underlying mental health struggles. His daughter clarifies that alcohol became his way of attempting to self-medicate when the depression became unbearable. This perspective adds crucial context to the stories about Carson's behavior during his later marriages and helps explain the pattern of relationship difficulties that marked his personal life throughout his career. The final piece of Carson's daughter's revelation focuses on the profound regret her father carried in his later years and his desperate attempts to reconnect with his family before it was too late. She describes a man who, as he aged and began to understand his condition better, made genuine efforts to bridge the emotional gaps that his depression had created. These attempts, while deeply appreciated by his children, came after decades of missed opportunities and emotional distance that couldn't easily be repaired. During Carson's retirement years, his daughter recalls conversations where he openly acknowledged his failures as a father and husband. These discussions were both healing and heartbreaking, as they revealed a man who finally understood the impact of his untreated mental health struggles but felt it was too late to fully make amends. He expressed particular anguish about the childhood moments he had missed and the emotional support he hadn't been able to provide when his children needed it most. The confirmation of Carson's depression also explains his notorious privacy in later life and his reluctance to make public appearances or give interviews. His daughter reveals that retirement, rather than bringing peace, initially intensified his struggles because he no longer had the structure and purpose that his television work had provided. Without the nightly escape of performance, Carson was forced to confront the full weight of his condition and the relationships it had damaged. Perhaps most significantly, his daughter's revelation serves as a powerful reminder of how mental health stigma affected even the most successful and beloved figures of Carson's generation. Her decision to finally confirm these long-standing rumors stems from a desire to help others understand that depression can affect anyone, regardless of their public success or apparent happiness. She hopes that by sharing her father's struggle, she can contribute to breaking down the barriers that prevent people from seeking the help they need. The legacy of Johnny Carson now includes not just his revolutionary impact on television comedy, but also a sobering lesson about the hidden costs of fame and the importance of mental health awareness. His daughter's confirmation transforms our understanding of the man behind the legend, revealing someone whose greatest performance may have been convincing the world that he was consistently happy when he was often fighting just to survive each day. This truth doesn't diminish Carson's achievements, instead, it makes them all the more remarkable and his humanity all the more relatable.